Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, people of all ages, welcome back to the Sticky Floors podcast. I'm one of your hosts, CJ. I am joined by Mr. Will, and we're back once again talking about movies. Tonight, we're talking about actor turned steak and cheese, or I'm sorry, Philly cheesesteak, Philly cheesesteak connoisseur Bradley Cooper in Limitless, man. Limitless. So this is going to be a good movie for us to break down, man. Mr. Will, before I ask you I'm gonna ask you how you doing, but I'm also gonna ask you, what's your favorite cheesesteak place, man?
Wow. Honestly, it was a place called South Philly Cheesesteak, local joint. I know everybody talks about Geno's and a couple of spots in Philly or whatever have you, and we've been there, yada yada yada, and that's cool and all. But yeah, I'm gonna have to say, just because of like the memories it evokes and the people that I was around when I go there, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah, I'm rocking with that. Yeah.
Rock, what was the place called again?
Yeah, South Philly Cheesesteaks.
South Philly cheesesteaks. All right.
Yeah.
So if you're out there in Philly, South Philly cheesesteaks, man. My mom was always a big fan of Geno's, man. She used to love Geno's. For me, it's still Delisandro's, although Jim's is good too. Just depends on the kind of vibe I'm in. Having this conversation make me realize I haven't had one in a long time.
Yeah.
I like to get there and get to it, man. Do you remember Steakums?
We were growing up, man. Yeah.
Yo, Steakums, man.
See, and here's the deal with that too. Like, one of our friends, this dude always try and clown me by quoting a Biggie lyric. The joint where he's like, "And hook a steak up."
Hook a steak up. Yeah.
Because everybody, like, because the thing was is that I worked at South Philly Cheesesteak, so like,
cool. Okay.
Yeah, so that joint, he would be like, "Yo," and another one of our boys, they'd be like, "Yo, go hook a steak up," and I was just like. And then they start rapping the song, and I just be like, "Come on, man, cut that out."
That's too much. No, think about the whole line of the song.
That's why I'm saying it. I'm trying to leave some stuff out, but for those that know, peep the Biggie joint. Man.
If you know, you know. That's a little off.
Yeah,
that's a little off there, man.
Yeah, but you know how the crew does.
But I used to love them joint. The Steakum joint, man. Look, with a little ketchup, man.
Yo, but because I don't eat beef and haven't for quite some time, like when they came out with the turkey joints, like the chicken rather,
they do it with turkey and
chicken. Yeah, chicken joints. Oh. Yeah, man, that used to be real ill, man.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, man.
I didn't know that, man. Oh, I might have to get on that. but anyway, this is not the Sticky Floors.
Yeah, it's not the food
podcast. It's not the food podcast. This is the movie podcast. Yeah. We're talking about Limitless. Kicking it over to Mr. Will. Give us a synopsis of this movie so we can get into this joint, man.
Yeah. So Limitless is a sci-fi action thriller based on Alan Glenn's movie entitled The Dangerous Fields, which delves into the electrifying journey of Edward Mora, a struggling writer who stumbles upon a extraordinary substance, a drug, for those that don't know. Are we even allowed to say that? NZT48, that unlocks the untapped potential of his brain. After being introduced to the drug by his ex-brother-in-law, Vernon Gant, the main character, Edward Morrow, also known as Eddie, experiences an overwhelming transition and transformation, unlocking an unparalleled source of intellect, creativity, and focus. With his newfound mental prowess, he's propelled into an unprecedented success, catapulting him into the high-stakes world of business and finance, where he quickly rises to prominence. However, Eddie's newfound brilliance comes at a high price. As he gains power, wealth, and influence, he soon becomes entangled with a dangerous web of intrigue and corruption, attracting the attention of shadowy figures who will stop at nothing to seize the drug's remarkable capabilities for themselves.
There it is, man. I mean, the movie asks like this fundamental question of, if you could take something that was going to make you smarter, would you do it?
Yeah.
And it's a good question, man, because it's like you think about how people take steroids, right? Like, people have, taken different things to make themselves stronger or faster or bigger. I'm sure if they could do it with the brain, a lot of folks would do it too.
No question. And I think they should. Matter of fact, I'm all for PEDs and growth hormones.
Really?
Real talk. Yeah. First of all, let's really
break that down to me. Yeah, let me hear this one, man.
I was all for collegiate players getting paid legally and for it to be recognized, like over the table, right? For the longest, because there is no such thing as and you would know this yourself, there is no such thing as a quote unquote student athlete. They're not chosen to go to school for their book prowessness.
Mm-hmm.
They're given these scholarships to go to school for whatever their athletic prowessness is,
Mm-hmm.
and they are compensated royally. And I always hear Chris Webber's voice in my head when he's like, "Yo, I couldn't even afford a sandwich, and
Yeah.
yet they're selling my
Yep.
jersey over here." And that recognition that these schools get, you can't tell me that the school doesn't benefit. Yeah, I know the scholarship and the graduating with no debt and et cetera, et cetera. But tell me that when I see a Chris Webber, Jalen Rose make millions of
Mm-hmm.
dollars for these schools, ain't no education worth no $1 million. I got a degree, double
Mm-hmm.
major, and trust me, I'm not a millionaire. Uh, so I juxtapose that with the fact of, if no one is created equal, and there's this ineptitude by those to acknowledge the mere hypocrisy and contradictions within the system, then you might as well go to the fullest extent. We want to see Chris Evans bulked out. We don't want to see scrawny Chris Evans as Captain America. We don't want to see Paul Rudd all scrawny and shriveled and emaciated. We want to see.
wait. Are you saying you're saying that Chris Evans and Paul Rudd definitely used PEDs? Now is
Let's just say,
that's
in a
what?
short period of time, all these Marvel actors are on the same regiment.
What?
Eh,
So what about Henry Cavill, who they say didn't do any of that to get the physique that he had for Superman
Some people
or
have
Man of
genetics,
Steel?
and that's my other. Thank you for segueing. See, CJ, simpatico. So, thank you for segueing to my next point, which is certain people do have certain blessings that others aren't equipped with and never will
Mm-hmm.
be. And no
Yeah.
one willingly, and I always tell everyone that'll listen, no one ever signs up for the bald head, small hands, short stature, fat gut package. Nobody does that. Nobody wants to self-sabotage. They
Right.
want the
Right.
ideal. That's why it's tall, dark, and handsome, not short, fat, and scrawny. Like, that doesn't work. So with respect to Henry Cavill, he is a legit, what, 6'3", 6'4", somewhere around that
Maybe.
range.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Same thing with Chris Hemsworth, Liam Hemsworth. Their respective father was a bodybuilder. So you
Right.
can't you
So
can't
they already had good
yeah.
genes.
So if you already have that within you, how is that fair to those that don't? You're expecting them to overcompensate. And yes, there are a litany of controversial subjects that we won't get into on this topic. But
So that's interesting then. So you're saying, so like, basically you're saying that if a person perceives they have a deficit, they should be able to
no question.
pursue whatever it is that would get them there,
Yeah. No.
even if that's through, in this case through illegal means.
I would say augmented. It's only illegal because certain people in power said it was illegal. It's not illegal. I mean, look at it like this. The government literally makes laws in order to give themselves pay raises. They take that same information that they make a law about insider trading illegal for others, but then they still capitalize and invest.
But NZT in this case, though, NZT is killing people though.
Well, no, actually.
Everybody that he called in the book was dying because from taking NZT.
Well, that's because literally for some reason the movie wouldn't work if these other individuals also. So that's another whole end for another discussion. So let's really call it what it is. But if these people were truly geniuses or raised their IQ, then in turn, yes, they would be able to understand, oh yeah, you know what? The side effects to this are detrimental, even
Yeah.
leading to, your potential death. And therefore we have to somehow modify this. And if I'm sorry, but if Bradley Cooper's character Eddie could do this, who was a down on his luck, basically a slob, then I'm sure that, Hank could have done this. Melissa, who they acknowledged was way smart in school, et cetera, intelligent,
Mhm.
book smart. They could have done this, but they didn't.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that part of it is that one of the things that I dig about the movie is that I like when movies set the rules and then they try to follow the rules out.
Hmm.
So the NZT thing, like I like that, like the whole. I mean, we're gonna get into it later, but the whole effect of like what NZT does, I
Hmm.
like that. It's visually appealing and it's interesting to me. I think like they decided early on with this film that it has to be within the boundaries of like what drug use actually is
Hmm.
and any other form. So like, like he says, yeah, I feel confident Yeah, people get that from drinking Jack Daniels too. Jack Daniels will make you feel super
Hmm.
confident, but the downside is like you might be hungover, you might kill brain cell. We are gonna kill brain
No,
cells.
you are going to.
So you got that side to it.
Mhm.
Like the steroids, like people talk about getting the boils all over their body and messing their heart up and everything and
Mhm.
shrinking parts of their body they don't want to shrink. I mean, so you got all
Yeah.
those things. So it's like I think they had to. I think like if it was no consequences to it, then it would be like a free for all. But
Mhm.
through the movie, like because folks are experiencing the consequences, it just adds another layer of risk to Eddie's life in the film.
Yeah, but those consequences don't come until later. Remember, some of the things it advocates is taking shortcuts.
Yeah.
And I know
Hmm.
that sounds contradictory to what I'm referencing, but he manages to find a happy medium, which life is all about balance, and where
Yeah.
he can take a certain dosage at a certain time, not drink,
Yeah.
smoke, and take other illicit substances while simultaneously taking this one,
Yeah.
and curtailing his party lifestyle,
Yeah.
so that where this now drug becomes advantageous, which is
Yeah.
what a drug under ideal conditions is supposed to do. The drug is supposed to
Yeah.
be beneficial, not harmful.
Yeah, I mean, like you raise it. I mean, like it's an interesting debate about the role of drugs and what
Mhm.
happens when like people take something and like if I can do something that raises my capability, is that wrong, really, right? And I think what's interesting about the film is like, and it's kind of plays out with the situation between him and his girlfriend because like when his girlfriend takes the NCT that one time,
Mhm.
she doesn't actually become somebody who's like, I want to take this all the time. Like
Mhm.
she kind of goes through it one time and she's like, yeah, that I get it. Like that would turn me all the way up, but that wasn't who I really am. So I'm not really a fan of it. And she's like the person that kind of takes it and is like, yeah, but that's not really what I want. So it kind of gives you that different vibe of like what happens when people take it.
Yeah, but see, here's my thing, man. One, I think it has to do with the type of personality you have. If you have an
Absolutely.
addictive
No
personality,
doubt.
then you'll be more prone. Like the old adage goes, if you're a jerk with no money, then you're still
Yeah.
a jerk
Yeah.
with
It's
money once it's
amplifier. No
given to you.
doubt.
So it
No
just
doubt.
amplifies it. Correct. So therefore, if this guy is given this type of drug, which he was already living a slobbish lifestyle.
Hmm.
It'll just transfer into another avenue where he'll be reckless and careless, maybe initially, and he'll be able to, you know, come around and see the consequences of his actions and, rectify it in a timely manner. But nonetheless, you could still see the character flaws within him. Whereas his
Yes.
girlfriend still was,
Yes.
she happened to be the pillar of the relationship. She was the more stable and structured one.
Hmm.
She was the one who provided the guidance. Remember, when you're introduced to her, literally she's paying for the meal as she breaks up with him.
The bank. And she's also the bank. Yeah.
He even says to her, I don't even know why you stayed with her. I don't even know how they even got together because they
Yeah.
seem to be on opposite ends of the spectrum.
Yeah. Opposites attract.
This is very dramatic, my man. Like,
Very
I
nice
mean, like,
opposite.
Lindy is professional
Hmm.
and very cognizant of what her purpose is, and she tries to be very basically a model citizen. She adheres
Hmm.
to the law. She doesn't run afoul of anyone. But whereas Eddie, he's running all over the place.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
shouldn't even be in the same room.
I mean, the character part, that's a good thing because it's like it does the people that you see using it the most are
Mhm.
also the people who maybe their character was a little questionable to
Yeah.
begin with. Like
Hmm.
you get it with Eddie, you get it obviously with the Russian dude who
Yeah.
like he takes it and then he starts, at the end he's trying to build his import export business. Even the
Quote unquote.
even the guy the older guy who's involved in the merger, he was using it too, right?
Hank
And he
Atwood.
used it, yeah, Atwood. And Atwood uses it to go from nowhere to like becoming this titan of, Wall Street. But they're all doing it, like you said, by cutting corners and seeing angles that the average person can't see.
Yeah, and I think the thing too with and the gentleman, the Russian dude, Gennady, um, I think they all are certain people on the spectrum or on the linear graphing of like the type of personality. So Bradley
Yes.
Cooper
Hmm.
represents middle of the pack. Atwood represents the upper echelon, and then Gennady represents the degenerates.
Oh, I
And
like that. Yeah, I like
so
that too.
it's
Yeah,
it's
I can
very
see that.
interesting to see how it balances out, kind of like the bell curve. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Where you'll see who's indicative of what and what their consequences will be of their actions, et cetera, et cetera. But I think a thing that I definitely wanted to point out too is it and this may be controversial, but it amazes me that um, you know I didn't see any reference, if you will, or any characters that were outside of like those that you see in the TV show Friends. Like the demographic tended to be less diverse than what I would expect in a major metropolitan city. And so,
Okay.
you know, was that intentional? Was that you know, like his ex brother-in-law, Vernon? Like he's an upscale drug dealer, if you will. Um, and you know what I mean?
He said upscale drug deal.
Because that's the way
Like the two things don't go together.
it's just
Like you
crazy.
can't be upscale and a drug dealer
It
at
just
the
seems
same
like
time.
it just seems like it was intentional to make it seem like he wasn't shady. He was more like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? And
Well, you know, when you start taking NZT, you automatically start dressing better too. That's a
I yeah,
byproduct of it is that you get style.
yeah. Oh, now you
That's
can
what this
color
thing.
coordinate and everything.
That's
Like,
one of the things that comes with it, man. Your style gets up. And you suddenly feel like I deserve to be in suits all the time.
yeah,
Like
like
I can't wear no sweatsuits no
no,
more.
God
Like that
forbid
that
you.
comes with it.
Yeah, I don't know, dude. It's just real crazy to me. And I think another thing that really marvels, like I'm caught in a stupor about is Robert De Niro's character, Carl. Like, did he really think that he could coerce the quote unquote smartest man who's now running for government office, public office, into
Yeah.
being his subordinate again? Like,
Yeah. Well, you know, Carl is like, I think it's I'm gonna get to it in my cake because it's one of the things I like about Carl. Carl knows the difference between intelligence and experience.
yes.
And I think that and now he does underestimate Eddie, no doubt, by the
Mhm.
end. Although we're gonna get to that. We're gonna get to we can get to the ending. But I think he does. But I think he does underestimate that. But I think like one of the things that's interesting about the film is like the idea of like just how much do you get out of being smart?
Mhm.
Like, yeah, you can manipulate situations, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you're gonna come out on top in every situation
Mhm.
because you're still plagued by your decision making.
Mhm.
Like Eddie still makes a bunch of bad decisions
Yeah.
like throughout the movie because like you would think he would be smart enough to not put himself into these kinds of situations where his life is in jeopardy from a Russian, you know
Mhm.
what I mean, where he's getting like kind of played sideways by Carl, you know, like he's smart, but that doesn't mean that he makes good decisions.
See, and that's the thing. You would think that it would go hand in hand that you had the foresight to see these things coming because he's supposed to know all the angles, remember? And so therefore he should understand that his actions have consequences, and for him to basically employ a risk management type of strategy where he's limiting the risk. And
Yeah.
that's why I find the movie title ironic because it's
Limitless, yeah.
limitless potential, but he must stay within some type of structure and provide his own limits, and thus he has also fulfilled limitations to what is capable for humanity as a whole. Because at no point in time do you hear anything reference or mentioning of these dudes saying, let's give the entire planet this drug so that we can raise the IQ and the quality of living and eliminate diseases, poverty,
Yeah, that's a good point.
homelessness across the globe. No, they're all selfish.
Yeah, it's a good point. It's a good point. And even you're never really sure about what is his overall ambition. Like
Hmm.
you know, like yeah, you can see like you know he jumps in the water and then he has a realization he wants to do something different, and you can see that the trajectory is like to become the president,
Mm-hmm.
but for why? Like
Yeah.
he never articulates like the grand vision for society beyond like the personal accomplishment of Eddie Moore. So it's like it's an interesting point because like whatever, it's like you said, all drugs are amplifiers, right?
Mm-hmm.
They just amplify what's there to begin with. So he's probably a person. He comes off as a character that's like super ambitious and maybe a little self-aggrandizing, right? And then the drugs help him to get to the point where it catches up. Like his ability to produce that aggrandizement is on a level with what he can actually do. So then he just keeps, you know, like, oh, okay, you know what? I could be rich, but I don't want to be rich. I want to be powerful. And then
Yeah.
and then you go to the next level, the next level, the next level.
Well, I think that's the thing. There are levels to this thing that we call life. I mean, even his name is not by coincidence. Edward, which is an Anglo-Saxon name, with a root in there being EAD, meaning one who is very wealthy, who's very fortunate
How
and
about that?
prosperous, and
How
then
about
the
that?
other segment of it is one who's like a guardian or a protector. So here you have this guy who is full of contradictions, but he also is self-aware that he may want to amass a fortune, but a fortune of what? Not necessarily monetarily, but maybe for the betterment of the world, because he does, to his credit, say he wants to shake up the world. Simultaneously, he is the guardian of not only the drug, not only of Lindy, but perhaps mankind and its potential to be fully fulfilled.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and you know, and this just kind of reminds me, just to point this out, like I really like Bradley Cooper in this film.
Oh, I like it too.
He's like when I watching this, it made me, I always like think of like my favorite sort of roles for him. I really liked him in this. I really like him in the Hangover movies because I like that kind of jerky character that he plays, but he always plays it with like a charm to it that doesn't make it seem malicious.
Like a rascal scoundrel.
Yeah, and then I really liked him in what was it, American Sniper?
Yeah.
He was really good in that. And I really liked him in A Star Is Born when he was playing like the kind of alcoholic old like country music singer. But he's got, my point is he's got range.
Yes,
like,
he does.
He's got range.
I actually liked him in the A-Team best of all.
Yeah, I mean, his face, right? But he was like a perfect fit for that because he's like a charming guy. You kind of buy him being a little skeevy, right? But you also buy him being very heroic
and suave.
He's got a lot of, like absolutely, like you believe he can like learn French and then talk to women in French and you know, get her in the bathroom. All of that works out because you're looking at him, you're like, yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, definitely, it's plausible. And I think that's why I like the movie to the degree that I do, mainly because of Bradley Cooper, and then also throw in a little bit of Rob De Niro.
Of course,
and you know,
of course.
It always makes for a great tandem when you have two quality actors of equally, or I can't say equal, but of prominent stature, especially on that degree. And it doesn't help that what's her name, Cornish, I think her name, Abbie Cornish, who plays Lindy. She does well in this movie as well. And of course the gentleman who plays Gennady, he's always playing like the bad guy, and
always
kind of typecast for it.
He's that guy. You're like, oh, that guy. I like that guy.
Yeah.
Like he's never gonna be like legitimate in any film. He doesn't work for the Salvation Army in none of these films that he's come in. Yeah, but no, it's good, and this is a fun film. I remember going to see it in the movie theaters a lot because like I'd seen him in The Hangover, and I was like, I want to see him in this, and you're right, it's just a fun watch. Like I've watched this a couple times. Every time I watch it, I've enjoyed watching it. It works. Like the sum of the parts just works to hold the movie together.
Yeah. So you did see this in the movie theater?
I did.
Oh, okay.
I did.
Okay. Yeah, I happened to see this in the theater too. I don't know if I've watched this though more than maybe 2-3 times though.
Yeah. But I'm the rewatchable guy. Man.
Yeah.
Like I can just turn something on and just watch it over and over again.
That's pretty consistent. Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, that's pretty consistent. Me, on the other hand, nah, I need that.
One time you're the one hitter quitter, man.
Yeah. But I think what it is that like I can't recapture that initial like, oh wow, that movie was dope because of this, that, and the third, that giddiness, that excitement, that rush, if you will. So I mean, to a fault, that's on me. I acknowledge it.
No, so like when something comes out, like I just saw they're about to re-release what is it? The episode 3 of the Star Wars films, the Revenge of the Sith. They're about to put that in the theaters again. Like they're about to re-release it. So have you ever gone to like see like a re-release of like a film?
I will never do that.
Really?
Because I'll go home and watch it. Yeah, man. I
can see that. In this economy, that makes sense. That's a sensible move in this economy. Yeah, I dig that.
Yeah.
I dig that. Yeah, I think sometimes like I know you love music. Yeah. You love music. I like music, but I really love films. For me, I can turn a film on and have it in the background while I'm doing something completely different.
Yeah, I've done that with a few things.
The way that people can do with music. So I think that's why it lends itself to this. So I've probably seen Limitless probably 4 times all the way through.
Okay.
And when I watch it all the way through to the end because it's entertaining to me.
You know what it is though? I don't know if I can do that. And maybe it's something from my childhood because like I used to be able to quote movies like Sweet 16 and The Breakfast Club and stuff like that. And then after a while, people would say it was annoying. So like it kind of.
It is. When you do it, it's very annoying.
So I think I put some self-in-place restraints on myself where I was like, you know what, yeah, I can't do that anymore. I don't want to embarrass myself, or I don't want people to be, he's that guy, or be agitated,
Yeah.
whatever have you.
Now I got you, but look, one day we're gonna do Belly, and I'm gonna be able to give you to
Oh,
read the whole line, every line by line for that, because I just remember everything that's said in that movie. It just sticks with me. Like that, Scarface, Carlito's Way. I could do those
I
just
bet
straight
with
through.
ease.
Those are my joints, man. But yo, let's get into the cake with on Limitless, man. I know we got some things. You want to go first, man?
Yeah. So, I briefly discussed this the cast. I'm always, as the audience knows, I'm really heavy on the ability of the actors who've been hired to actually bring the movie to life. I think the characters and the actors were a symbiotic blend of skill, of talent, of and trust. They are not synonyms, because potential gets you fired. I definitely like the way that they're able to be demonstrative without the use of the actual script itself, where you can see the subtleties in their face.
Mm-hmm.
Even when they do have speaking lines, the enunciation and the trajectory of how they're pronouncing their words, the way that they carry this sort of gravitas, their clothing, just everything about them, the style and skill. I've already mentioned the actors in particular. I also like the themes that it talks about. CG and I discussed them very briefly, but this myth of exploring untapped potential, this whole
Mm-hmm.
hogwash about we only use 20% of our brains. Like I like this whole questioning of where is humanity headed? How can humanity accomplish more? This discussion and self-reflection, and just ruminating the concept of, selflessness versus selfishness. What does that truly mean? What does it mean to be successful? Are these things interchangeable? Are they synonyms? I love the concept overall.
Yeah.
And just the screenplay itself. I think they did a very good job of, presenting a very straightforward movie. There's not much depth as far as like the intricacies. I mean, it could be a very complex topic, but they made it in such a simplistic way that a 2-year-old can understand, like, hey, that's the bad guy, this is the good guy, this is where they both made mistakes, this is how we can get better.
Yeah, and it's fun. And it's just like it's a fun movie to watch.
Definitely.
So it's got that. On the cake, for me, I got a couple of things. One is at the beginning, like when he can't write something, the challenge is having writer's block.
Yeah.
I know that. I've experienced that. There's nothing like trying to write because writing is one of those things that it has to just come out of you.
Right.
And if when it's not coming out of you, it's like trying to squeeze water from a rock. So like I just
that visual is crazy.
I just enjoyed watching that because I've been there, so I know like what that is. So I just thought that was a cool scene. We talked about his experience, his exchanges with Robert De Niro. I really like the scene where he thinks like the deal's gonna close and I'm done, and then Robert De Niro was like, "Nah, if you even think that, that's proof that you're not experienced. You haven't done all the stuff that I've done to get here. You didn't have to marry the girl that you didn't love, but she had a good father. You didn't have to try to intimidate people and trick people." And he's like, the way he breaks it down is so thorough, because I think at a meta level, it's like Robert De Niro telling Bradley Cooper, you got to work to get to this right here.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like I get it. You're tall, you're good looking. That's great. Those are your gifts. And he even says those are your gifts that came from
floating around,
right?
Like
straight shot of sperm or something, like whatever. But you ever had to grind out the way that I had to get here?
Yeah.
I just like that set trip by him, that set check by him there. The last thing I'll say is I really like the Limitless effect. Like you take the pill, then all of a sudden everything gets super saturated. The lights turn on, everything is bright. I think it was just a good way of helping the audience to know that, like, oh, this dude is on the next level now. So it's like, I've always liked that playing of colors, and that goes back to the Matrix. Obviously, they did that, but good stuff, man. That's what I got for the cake.
Especially when he was looking clammy and pale and like a crackhead, and he's like, "Yo, you can't be living like this, and you don't have a drug problem."
Right?
Like that's how you know, like there's something skeevy going on with this dude.
Right?
Like, he looking deranged.
People would look at him and they'd be like, "Dog, are you all right?"
Yeah. Like, even when he gets to the landlord's girlfriend, she's like, "You're not even a man."
I know. She was killing the dude, man.
Yo, imagine coming home and you're introduced to that.
Look, I remember one time, man, I was outside. I was hanging outside. This is when I was younger, right? I was sitting there and I had like a cup in my hand. The cup was empty. I was sitting there like on a stoop or something.
Don't tell me
somebody walked by and put some money in the cup, man. And I was looking at him and I was like, dog, I'm not on the street. Like, what's going on? And I'm looking at myself. I'm like, what's going on? Yo, I remember that day.
Switch up your whole outfit.
Yo, I went to the magazine store. I got the GQ magazine. I started looking at it. I'm like, nah, I got to step this up.
Every other day, my whole dress code switched.
Something got to be different, man. That was my NZT 48 moment. Like, I was like, nah, we got to fix that. So
yo,
that's the thing. Like, he was messed up. Look, he was living like a slob. Like, that NZT was a self-help startup for him, man.
That's
that was
why I
boost.
said I'm in favor of anybody getting a boost, man. Like, yo, you're supposed to help those in need. You're not supposed to kick them while they're down. Oh, I'm all for it, man.
Yeah, there it is, man. All right, what you gotta hate, man?
All right, man. So in the pre-production meeting, CJ and I went over a litany of things. I don't want to give too much away for, my hot takes and such. So I'll just leave it off like this. The unlikelihood that Eddie is going to be given a drug that works all this out, meanwhile there's others before him, is preposterous to me. Like I have a problem with him flashbacking to his ex-wife, and he's like, yo, she used to kill it in college, and she was this and she was that. And then you see her and it's like, prom queen went to prom fiend. Like, shorty, you got it bad.
Down,
what is
NZT got the hooks
in. You looking terrible. And then when he's making the calls, and you mean to tell me out of all those people, you're the one? You're Anakin Skywalker? Like, come on, man.
Hey man, maybe he was gifted. maybe he's just an especially gifted dude, no matter what, man.
I don't know, man. Atwood was balling, and all of a sudden he even hired a goon to get it done for him. And you mean to tell me that's the best goon that he could hire?
Yeah, that dude was effective though. That dude was effective because he definitely killed that lady in the hotel room.
And the two dudes,
he killed them two dudes like that was easy.
But why did he kill the lady, man? Like, dad, cuz?
I don't know. That was like kind of almost like a dropped storyline in the thing.
And that's my thing.
I mean, he killed the brother-in-law.
Yeah.
This dude is a mass murderer, man.
Yeah, he is.
He's good at his job.
I guess so.
He kills the lawyer at the end that they took the drugs back for. He had to kill that guy.
That's 5 people that we talked about already.
Like Michael Myers, man. It's like Michael. Guy's like Limitless killer. Anyway. On the hate, I got a couple of things, man. So this is all right, fine. You can be smart. You can be all the smart that you want to be. But the idea that he takes the drugs and then he becomes a fighter and like he can like beat up 5 guys at one time, like it just looks clunky. The action scene itself looks clunky, number one. But I'm just not buying that part. Like, okay,
why not?
Because he's still got to be strong enough to hit somebody to hurt them.
You saw him doing the sit-ups and working out and getting his body right.
That's fine. He's still fighting 5 people at one time. He's not Batman.
You also saw because he was reading books like Batman. And
I know, but he's not
the
Batman. He's not the I watched Batman fight 5 people in a subway station. That's the beginning of the Batman.
I get it. I'm just saying,
Eddie Moore's gonna get stomped out, man.
It's all about technique, and it's all about opportunity and space. Yeah. And
he can have all that. He could have all that.
I don't know, man. Out of all the things that you mentioned so far, I can believe him.
His body still got to be able to do the moves.
And again, he was working out. He was able to recall, like, all right, I got to work out this I got to isolate this muscle group. I got to do this. He's giving literally his parents commentary on his aunt's. Yeah, it was his aunt's disease and everything. So I'm pretty sure he knows about physiology and different
all those things.
I'm just saying.
A person can read how to do a surgery, but not be able to do it themselves.
This is true. And I think
you can learn this. You can learn the thing. Like, you know how many people know how to dribble a basketball?
Oh, this is true.
But can't dribble a basketball?
This is true as well.
How many videos of watching Kyrie Irving do you think people do? And they can't duplicate what Kyrie Irving actually does.
But again, with respect to Bradley Cooper, I mean, he's not a little dude. You know what I mean?
No, he's not. But I'm saying like 5-on-1. All right, we can agree to disagree. I don't like that scene. I don't like that. And then on the second thing is that when his girlfriend does I'm gonna run through the ice and grab the girl and flip her around and all that. Like,
I'm always afraid of blades from like hockey or ice skating blades or whatever cutting you.
Sure, yeah, but I mean, like, just that whole like. You don't become. It's not the N. The N in NZT doesn't stand for ninja. That's all I'm saying. Like, you don't become a ninja because you took this. So, like, come on, like,
and NZT doesn't stand.
Come on, whatever. Whatever. That's that. The drink in the guy's blood. It's just nasty to me. Like
vampirism, though, man.
Yeah, well, you know what? He would. You know what? When I was watching, I was thinking he should be in a vampire movie. He would make a really
Hmm.
good like Dracula vampire because he
Ah,
could
that's
pull off the kind of suave Count Dracula vibe. But
that's
yeah,
interesting.
that's John. I want to see that. And the ending
That
was
was
kind
kind
of
of grotesque, though. Yeah.
fast. It just kind of went from okay, I got out of here. They said like these arms dealers came to kill him. Cool. Then I'm gonna go work with the dude who's been trying to kill me this whole time. We're gonna go get the lawyer. Cool. They're gonna let me get the pills. You're gonna kill him. Cool. Then I'm gonna get my hair cut. A year later, I'm running for senator. Cool. Like it just fast tracked the ending. And you know how I am. Like
You
the
got to
ending's
stick
got
the
to
landing. I got
you
you.
gotta stick the ending. And it was like they just tried to tie it all up like really quickly. So
I mean, but they did have, in order to tie up certain things, you do have to time skip. And I
the
mean,
time, okay, that's
and
fair.
the enemy of my enemy is my friend. I mean, like, there's no point for him, for the hitman to try and get him anymore. So it's like, hey, if you are really about this life and you're really, about, protecting your master, if you will, the guy who really did all this, you're just gonna let him walk scot free. And your pride and your ego, which I think a major tenet of this movie is about pride and ego and hubris. You
Yeah,
know,
it's a super calculated risk to go to a person that was
smartest
trying to
guy on the
kill
planet.
you,
Remember,
just trying to kill you and your girlfriend, and hope that that's going to work out all right for you.
he
Because
beat 5 dudes.
right, which is also unrealistic, which is also highly unrealistic. Because if you could beat five dudes in a fight, why is he running from one?
He had a weapon, a knife.
But if you, but right, but he's watching all the Bruce Lee movies, right? Bruce Lee fought many men with knives. He should wait. Why did he pull that metric? Why did he pull that memory up? Like, oh, let me go back to
It may
Enter the
go back to your
Dragon
point though,
when
where
he
you were
was
saying
fighting.
like he knows his limits. Like, hey, I could beat these
Come
dudes,
on,
but I
man.
can't
Come
beat this
on.
old man
Come
strength,
on,
yo.
man.
I
Come
can't get down with that.
on. Come
That's a
on,
different
man.
level.
Come on, man. Come on.
And that
Come
guy was
on.
sinister. He just knifed two
I know
dudes in Central Park like it was
he's the
nothing.
Michael Myers. He's the Michael Myers hitman. I grant you. I grant you. But if he either can beat people, you can't. Like that's all I'm saying. Either you about that
I
life or
feel
you're
you
not
now.
about that life.
Fair enough, man.
One way or the other, man. One way or
Fair
the other.
enough.
All right. Questions, yo. I'm gonna go first. I don't
Yeah.
have a bunch.
Okay.
Let me drop them on you first. So I think I know based on everything you said, but if you had the opportunity, would you take NZT 48?
Easy. Yeah. I'm popping them pills left and right, man. Yeah.
You doing it? You do so you show up. So when you show up to the Sticky Floors joint in the suit, the
Oh, yeah,
silk
that's the
suit, whatever
giveaway. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, okay, the Briani suit,
Yeah,
and I'm like,
that's a
oh,
giveaway.
okay, cool, with some sunglasses on, everything, the two tone joints,
But
okay,
we'd have a different setup once that went down, man. Like our setup would be totally different. We'd have the big camera operator and the sound man and the
right,
boom and the
right,
grips and everything, man. Like,
right, because you would have gotten the
yeah, would have
money
got,
to
yeah. That's what
like
I'm saying. Like,
set this joint up, right? We just be doing it in person,
yeah,
like yeah,
all that would have been, it would have been a
like the
wrap.
big boys do it. I
Yeah,
got you,
man. Yeah,
I got you,
we'd have
yeah,
our own studio.
like it is what it is. That's
Yeah,
how we do it like
exactly,
that. Got
exactly.
it. Got it. Got it. Okay. All right. Second, this is like just a question I had about the joint, and it goes back to the Michael Myers hitman. So why didn't Eddie report the guy that the Michael Myers hitman to the police?
Well, I mean, look at it like this from a practical standpoint. Where's your proof? Two, you're already involved in something that's questionable. Now you're over here throwing out alternative scenarios. That's just going to draw more light. Like, how would you know it was that guy? What were you doing there? That's too many open-ended questions that he can't answer. And then I think just for the practicality of for movie's sake, like,
Yeah, for the movie's sake.
you know what I
Got
mean?
it.
They don't have time to go into, oh, I went to the police. The police didn't believe me. Now they are me. I mean, like they tried to do that a little bit with the light-skinned, bald-headed dude, and it didn't really get
Mm-hmm.
anywhere. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
I just don't think that it was prudent nor practical in the sense of this movie.
Yeah. It would have changed things if he had said, "Hey, the guy who's working with Atwater tried to kill my girlfriend in Central Park
Yeah.
and murdered two men, and he's working for them." And
Yeah, that would
that
have, but that would,
that would have changed.
that would have changed it.
Changed
But
the
for,
whole movie into something different,
but for
right?
him to say, this guy's been chasing me nonstop. Oh, yeah, the hotel room that I was in, that I was with a chick
Yeah, he
who's
could.
now
Yeah, he
dead. He
would have been
could,
able to prove that.
because they would
No,
start
yeah,
tying the knots. Oh, let's see where else this guy might have fit in.
yeah,
His MO is X, Y, and Z. He's related to this. He's connected to here. It just wouldn't
yeah,
work.
yeah. All right, what you got, man?
All right, man. So I happen to have a few questions for you, sir. First being is, will humanity ever access 100% of the brain's capacity? And by that, I'm talking about everything that we can think about on the spectrum, man, like the whole kit and caboodle.
Yeah. It's a good question, man. It's a fascinating thing to think about. It's hard for me to say what people won't be able to do. I think it's a question of like how it gets there. So
Mm.
I think like we are getting closer and closer to the idea of like transhumanism and a melding of like man and machine, right? And I'm not
That scares
trying to
me,
be
man.
like, like super Terminator type of thing, but you kind of see that already. You kind of see that with one of, I forget the name of the Elon Musk company, but that's putting microchips in people's brains and
There's an
everything. Like,
office right now where people have chips inserted into their wrists.
yeah,
Even at
yes,
what's the joint? Whole Foods. They even mentioned like, hey, do you want to
in
slip?
the palm of the hand. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
market
I
a beast.
mean, so it's going that way, right? Like Wu Tang was talking about in the '90s, right? It watch out for the forehead and the
Mm-hmm.
hand, right? So like, it's really, I think that part is getting there. So it's not a question I think of like, will it happen? It'll be a question of like whether it should happen.
Mm. Well, I'm not
No.
for that, dude.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, not if it heads to the dark ages. I'm not with all that. The next question for you is this. All right. So Eddie's experiencing all these enhancements and he's got all this
Mhm.
newfound ability. And the movie even explores like ultimate intelligence. Like, what
Yeah.
does it mean to be ultra smart? That next
Yeah.
level, that next tier that seems to be out of reach for everyone. And how fulfilling one's life can be. Like you see him jumping off the cliffs over in
Yeah.
Italy or Monaco, wherever he is, and all the women that he is introduced to and being the life of the party, the art
Yeah.
galleries, et cetera, et cetera. So, would unlimited intelligence lead to personal fulfillment like it demonstrates in the movie, or would there be some type of dissatisfaction?
So you know what, man? The first of all, it's a great question, and it makes me pull back to something that is really, I think, really dope about the film is that it doesn't really fully define what NZT does.
Mm.
So it doesn't necessarily like it doesn't make it doesn't they never say like okay NZT made him like smarter than 10 Einsteins. Like they don't try to like qualify it in
Yeah,
some
yeah, yeah.
way. And it's like while having watched it again, what I think the NZT actually is doing is it ups the capacity for your brain to process information.
Mm.
So he's smart, right? But he's able to like pull all the stuff that he has in him
Mm.
or process and understand things faster. If you could do that, would that make you happier? Probably not,
Mm.
because ignorance is bliss. So
Ooh.
if ignorance is bliss, that be you if you were that smart, it can't be that enjoyable.
Wow. That's tough. I would have never thought to look at it like that.
So
Like
like
all the
he's got
things
to
that you're now aware of and
all the time. Yeah, I mean, like, how could he? If you knew the angles like that, how could you really be like happy unless you were, jumping off bridges and driving cars recklessly? And,
wow.
at some point, like the idea, like the normal things that people are worried about would become insignificant
Yeah,
to you.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then when they're talking to you about them, they will become insignificant to you even more.
But then wouldn't you think you would have the ability to bring about the change that's needed?
A
Like, you know
lot
what
of
I mean?
men
Like
have,
if because
a
if you
lot
see
of men
this
have tried, man.
this is true. This
a
is
lot of men have usually guys that really get it all figured out, they don't last too long.
this is true.
usually the society gets rid of you when you figure that out.
Yeah.
The people who get to that level, they're either in a casket or in the mountains somewhere. I know.
You know what? That is true. It does remind me of out of an episode out of Raising Canaan where he says nobody knows everything because if you did, you wouldn't be here anyway.
Mm, yeah,
That's
yeah,
tough. That's tough.
yeah.
Next question for you is, what are the ethical implications of enhancing human intelligence? I
Yeah,
mean,
I think this is something that we wrestle with right now with
yeah.
Chat GPT, right?
Mm,
Like, just think about the access that people have to information, what it's like today versus what it was like 20 years ago, what it's like for your children. Like now you have to convince children not to just plug all the data into Chat GPT and they just write a whole paper for you.
hmm
Like we're fast approaching a world where artificial intelligence can mimic everything that people do.
which is
And if you're smart enough to
crazy.
know it and you know the prompts and everything, then you can really design anything you want. So the boundaries of it, the effect of the ethical implications. I think one of the big things is like what's really created by people, what is authentic, what's real, what does real even mean anymore when you can come up with something? What does it mean to have an idea? Like, is it really your idea or is it Chat GPT's idea? Or is it your idea with like 60% you, 40% chat? So it's a different thing. When Einstein came up with the theory of relativity, you knew it was him. You know what I mean? But if Derek White comes up with the theory of super relativity, is it him or is it memorized? I
Yeah,
don't
but
know.
at the same token, this leads to two things that I'm thinking about. One, um, if you have the ability to create these shortcuts, isn't that what you're supposed to do to make life easier? Aren't you supposed to work smarter, not harder? So you remember we'd have a
Yeah,
calculator and they'd be like, no, you can't use the calculator, do it by hand.
yeah,
And then that graduated to show your work. Well,
yeah,
here he is showing improving. He
yeah.
listed when they're having the meeting, him and Carl, he's like, so I tried it this way, and I was thinking like gathering all this information. I was going through the information, and
Yeah.
the profits weren't great. And then people were gossiping, and they were doing all this scandalous stuff underneath. But then the nature of man, and people are corrupt. And then I started to see this pattern, and everybody else could. And in the background, the other dude who's also a good character actor, I just can't think of his name right now,
Hmm.
and he's like, so basically you're a charlatan. Like he kept
Yeah.
shooting him down.
Hmm.
So I'm just wondering. I propose this question to you: um, Isn't aren't you supposed to be given credit if you're working smarter and still achieving the same results? Isn't
Yeah.
that really you because you're finding another way around all of
I
that
th-
other stuff?
I think the difference is a good it's a good question. I think the difference is that the technology that we have today is getting closer and closer to being able to think for itself.
Scary
And
thought.
there's a difference between me having to figure it out or me using a tool to figure it out or something else figuring it out for me. And that's where I think the difference is because the question will be who really came up with the idea.
Well, then that leads to my next point. Then, we talk about it. We've talked about it before. The boat of Theseus, right? When we were talking
Mm.
about
Yeah, yeah, from the vision joint.
WandaVision,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I'm just like, all right. So if you are replacing certain pieces to the original, where does it end and begin that this is still the same boat? So if
Yeah.
you're adding on, say, like you mentioned with your other joint about the kids utilizing chat GPT, they
Mhm.
throw in some
Mhm.
concepts or whatever, and then all of a sudden, boom, chat GPT or any other AI device helps them make a more precise and concise narrative, paper, or whatever
Mhm.
have you. Isn't that still part of them because they had to put in the information?
It is. It is. I think what I would say to that is someone is going to produce something with the technology that we have now that's going to be better than Purple Rain.
Mm,
But how they got there isn't the way that Prince Rogers
implemented.
Nelson got there.
Got you.
So what he had to do to come up with Purple Rain is going to be different than when somebody makes, pink snowflakes in like 20 years from now. And they're going to be like, damn, pink snowflakes is the jam. I can't believe I'm crying and I'm listening to it. It's so incredible, man. Who would have ever thought of this? And you're like,
Sublime.
hopefully me and you are around and we like, yeah, it's not like Purple Rain though. Because you'll know where that thing came from.
Mm.
That like amazing spark of
It,
creativity that comes from within people. What happens when you can get that on tap?
wow. Just the visual of that is crazy. On
Pink
tap.
pink snowflakes or
Yeah.
purple rain?
That too. That too. All right. So my next question for you is how far can ambition and power go before they become self-destructive?
Yeah, it's gonna get there. Eventually the ambitious person is gonna burn themselves, man. They're gonna burn themselves eventually. As a matter of fact, this movie became a television
Yeah,
show.
I know. And that's the crazy thing. It was
Yeah,
garbage.
it became right.
I caught a couple of episodes.
How did you really feel?
Garbage.
But they tried to keep Bradley Cooper's
Yeah.
character in there, and he's getting somebody tried to kill
Yeah.
him,
And
and
he's giving drugs behind the seat, giving the injection.
other guy, yeah. I mean, like but you saw it. He became kind of like he spiraled out a little bit. Like he was spinning out in the show. But I think that's what would happen. Once you start thinking, the worst once you start thinking you're smarter than everybody else is usually when you're on your way down the tubes.
Yeah, but I think the writers self-sabotaged that because that was not the trajectory for Bradley Cooper's character of Eddie Morrow in the movie itself. I mean, the fact is that he was the one to say, you know what, this is the limitations. I'm off this stuff. I've retained everything that I need to retain. I can recognize that I'm not the smartest person in the room because there's still room to grow. Because if it stops with me, then humanity is stagnant. But yet they still had to have some type of anti-hero and
Mm-hmm.
appeal to those who watched the movie itself.
Yeah.
So I think like they were trying to do too much. All in
But
all.
the thing with his character though, I think is that he's always arrogant.
Mm.
It's always important for him to let everybody else know how much he knows. Even the last scene in the restaurant when he's with
Oh, and
Lindy,
he's like, what?
he has to talk in the language. He has to prove
Yeah.
that I can do. He didn't have to, but I think that was the part that Robert De Niro's character was making.
Yeah.
You still have this thing. You have these gifts, but you just throw them all around because you think that you're smarter than everybody else.
Or couldn't
And
it?
that's what's messing you up is your own arrogance.
But couldn't it be also because he was constantly told that he was nothing, and even from his wardrobe to his laziness and the lady lecturing him, and even his editor not having faith that he would be able to complete the book? Like,
Yeah,
don't you
but
think like
I mean,
that's out of necessity and habit?
well, I mean, he wasn't paying the rent on time.
He didn't have the money.
Okay, but he didn't pay the rent, and he hadn't written any words.
That's true too.
So like, he's not a victim of circumstance here. Like people are like, yo, where's the book? You didn't turn it in. Okay, you suck as a writer. You know, like it changes when you produce. You know.
Wow, that's great.
Changes
when you produce, huh?
Yo, when you produce, nothing succeeds like success.
Enough said. So then that leads to my last question then for you. Can intelligence truly solve all of life's problems?
No. No, because if the whole experience was meant to be intellectual, then we wouldn't have a heart.
Wow.
We wouldn't have emotions.
Wow, Darius. That was poetic right there.
Right. A blues for Nina. Right. I'm hitting him with that. Yeah. No, I mean, you need that. You need to have compassion. You need to have empathy. You need to have concern. You need to have love. You need all of that and be smart. That's how you fix the world.
Man, I'm quoting that. I'm borrowing that.
Take it, man. Write it down. You know what I mean? Write it down, man. Share it with the world, man. Somebody gonna be saying that in this podcast. In a club somewhere, somebody be like, "Hey, the world is a better place because of love and emotions and empathy and compassion." No. I just got that from Chat CJE.
No, that's not what he said. He said, my man said, if it was all about intellect, everyone would have it. But he summed it up as, but the world needs heart.
It does. With the world, love, man. World needs love. Love, sweet love. Wow. It's the only thing that is just too little of. It's already been told. Everything's been told already. All the secrets is out.
I dig it, man.
All the secrets is out.
Not reinventing the wheel. Okay.
There it is, man. All right, let's let the secrets out on the popcorn boxes. Man.
All right.
What you? I'll go first on this one, man. So look, I like the movie. I like to watch. It's cool. It's a good movie. I'm giving it 3 boxes though. 3 boxes, not bad, but it's weightier movies that I've seen.
I dig it.
But I enjoy it. It's a fun watch.
Initially, I had this higher than what I now have it pronounced at, only because I got to talk it through with my man CJ. I'm going with 3.5. I had it higher, but none that I've actually had
let the hate flow through you.
Time to actually bounce some ideas. I'm going with 3.5. There's some holes in the movie, but all in all, it's a fun ride. I enjoyed it. It's something I could watch a couple more times.
Good. Yes. Your hate has made you powerful. Good. All right, man. All right, let's get into the hot takes, man. I'm gonna start off with my hot take. So my hot take is they should have spent more time with Robert De Niro's character in this film. I think that the Russian trying to kill him is kind of redundant when the other guy's trying to kill him too.
Yeah.
It would have been interesting to see more of Carl trying to figure out exactly where Eddie got his skills from, and to see more of his kind of trying to figure out how to outmaneuver Eddie, because that would have been a good sort of interplay. And I would have enjoyed just watching more Robert De Niro in the film.
I could dig
That's
that.
my hot take.
I could dig that. No one ran a background check on this dude to see like where he comes from and what was going. I can
Nothing.
respect that. I can
No,
respect that.
it would have just been funny to see him like kind of scheming, like,
Yeah,
oh,
yeah.
okay, where? Let me see. Yeah, give me the background. Oh, okay, he was writing a book. He wrote a book in 2 weeks. How did he do that?
Yeah.
It would have been good. It would have made the ending a little bit more. It would have landed the ending a little bit more.
I got you. So my hot take is kind of like an amalgamation of the following. It seems like there's a certain populace that is given nice things, and no matter how much they mess things up for everyone else, they still get more and more nice things, even though they're unworthy and undeserving of them. Which ties into my thing about like, just this whole thing of being unbelievable. So I guess if I had to surmise everything, my hot take would be Bradley Cooper is supposed to be the smartest man on the planet, and the best thing he can come up with is getting $100,000 loan from a Russian loan shark. Make it make sense. Hank is able to create a corporation, a conglomerate, where he's able to make this business partnership with Carl, and then all of a sudden, due to his health, the merger doesn't necessarily happen without a hitch. But yeah, at the same token, when Bradley Cooper's given the same drug, his idea is, you know what? Making my money on the stock market, it's going too slow for me. Even though I'm quadrupling my profits and everything I'm bringing, I got to make for more, which goes into CJ's theme about, smart people making dumb decisions. I'm just not buying this whole thing about, I need a loan and that's the way I'm going to become a wealthy and
Oh, I
prosperous
get it.
person.
Yeah,
You know
I
what I
get
mean?
it. So yeah, so just the idea how he gets into it doesn't make
Yeah,
sense.
doesn't
Got
make
it.
sense. Doesn't
Got it.
add up.
Got it. Got it. All right. Well, that's our hot takes on that one. All right. Well, look, we're done with this. We're on another really grounded film next week. So next week we go into the streets, man. We with Keanu Reeves, man, and his audition film for the John Wick series.
Yeah, that was my hot take too, man.
When he did Street Kings, man. So next week we'll be back with Street Kings. Once again, the Sticky Floors podcast. Sorry, Sticky Floors podcast is available wherever you get your podcasts. We're available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts. We're on YouTube. Also, please like, subscribe, share. Helps us to grow the channel. We'll see you next week. Peace.